Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Ute Dash. I am one of your hosts today, Sammy Mora, and today I'm joined by, as always, Cole Bagley. But today we have a special guest, Steve Bartle of Ute Zone. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
We're great. Utah won yesterday. How was Boulder?
Man, it was cool. That was my first time there. It was kind of hectic getting there a little bit, but I flew in, got there at like 8 a.m. and booked it over to Boulder. It took a while to get a rental car, which was kind of frustrating, but man, it was nice. I've never been there. It was a nice setting. It was pretty cool.
Cole, how are you doing today, Cole?
Oh, I'm doing so good. I had a couple of tweets that I sent out early before the season started, but they aged well as Utah kept the rumble on the Rockies victory in Salt Lake City. So I'm feeling good.
So today we have a great show for you guys lined up. We're going to do just a recruiting special. Signing day's on Wednesday. So let's just jump into it. So Steve, do you want to give us a lowdown? What's going on with this class? Should fans expect any surprises Wednesday?
Oh man, that's it's a loaded question there, Sammy. But no, I think for the most part, this year has been kind of interesting with just the pandemic and kind of the restrictions that the coaching staffs have had to work through. Something that Utah is really known for is player evaluation, and a lot of that comes from being able to get out and see these players in person. And so Utah coaches weren't able to do that. And, it's I wouldn't say it's made things more difficult because everybody's in the same boat, but it's definitely been a challenge that the staff has had to overcome. And so, for the most part, they knew who they wanted. They knew the guys that that they felt good about, that they had a good evaluation on, and they've got them committed. So, they're working hard behind the scenes, and that's kind of been the theme of this class is just it's kind of been a lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of um, just a lot of fun to kind of cover it because it hasn't been as out in the open in terms of our coverage of recruiting. Uh, with guys taking visits and being able to talk about that and publicize that. So it's been kind of interesting from that point of view. But in terms of the class, it's a great class. They've got 16 commits, and it's ranked, I think, 30th right now, 31st. It fluctuates in between 29 and 31, and that's pretty remarkable. I can't remember the last time that Utah was, let alone ranked this high, but ranked this high with this number of commitments. So that speaks to the talent level that Utah is bringing in, and they've done just a fantastic job of piecing this class together. And they've done a fantastic job. And come Wednesday, the expectation is that they'll be able to finalize the class and get these guys to put ink to paper and sign their letters of intent and make it final. So, a lot of hard work coming to fruition this week, and the staff's Utah fans, everybody should be pretty excited about it for Utah football.
Yeah, exactly. Like that 16, I know that there's been this was going to be a smaller class for Utah this year, but I feel like the 16 it's a pretty good number we have right now. And then there's a lot of really big playmakers in that class already that Utah was able to land. Carson Young in the chat said, any surprises, any last minute kind of guys that are going to commit to Utah on Wednesday?
Yeah, like if we talk about surprises, then it doesn't make it really a surprise. But Utah's continuing to recruit a handful of players, and one player to keep an eye on. He's going to announce his commitment tomorrow. It's Cameron Bonner. He's a wide receiver out of Texas, St. Thomas High School, which is in the Houston area. Mm-hmm. And so he's got Utah, Baylor, Houston, Illinois, and I think Texas A&M involved with him. And so that'll be one to pay attention to is Cameron Bonner. And then there are a couple others that Utah will want to pay attention to, and they may not make a decision this week, but they'll definitely be players to keep an eye on as we move forward, whether it be this week or into the February signing day. And it starts with Joseph Manjack, who's another wide receiver out of the state of Texas. If you follow recruiting and you love recruiting and you follow the team last year, you'll remember Connor O'Toole, who joined the program. Unfortunately, O'Toole suffered a season-ending injury, so we weren't able to see him in action this year. But Manjack is a very similar athlete, similar style of receiver, a big guy at 6'3", 200 pounds, and just a really good athlete. And so he's probably the top priority for Utah, and it's down to Utah and USC for him. And so that'll be an interesting battle to monitor. But in terms of surprises, there are, I'll say this: there are a couple guys that have popped up over the last week or so that I'm very interested to see if anything comes of it. They haven't received offers just yet, but these are guys that Utah's been monitoring over the last couple of weeks, and it seems like there's growing interest. We'll see if it actually comes to a head this week. But yeah, they're definitely involved with some players that haven't been talked about as much, if you like to follow recruiting. So there could be some surprises, but I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a surprise. So it should be it'll be an interesting one to see. And the thing here is, as much as we want to see commitments, in terms of roster management, those spots are very, very valuable, particularly this season, just because of the timing of when the season ends and signing day. These guys don't know who's going to leave just yet, who's going to transfer, who's going to declare for the NFL draft just yet. And so you want to make sure you have some spots available in case you need to address a position down the road. So it's important that Utah maintains some flexibility and some space to address potential needs. So if we don't see a commitment, an additional commitment or two this week, it's not the end of the world. We still have the February signing day, and Utah's involved with a number of recruits. Will eventually make their decision between.
So my
now
last
and
question
February.
before we hop over to our next topic is, how many of these 16 guys do we expect to sign on Wednesday? Because I know in years past sometimes we've had a few guys sign, but last year, a majority of our class signed in December. So is it going to be the same thing this year, or is it going to be more February heavy this time?
Yeah, since the early signing period was put in place, I think that was the 2018 class. So this will be the fourth class that has had an early signing period. Utah has increased the number of players, or at least the percentage of their class, to sign in the early signing period. And so I think what we'll see is we'll probably see most, if not all, of the class sign on Wednesday. I think the only player that I could see maybe not signing is Viliami Pua, and that's just because he's got mission plans, and so we may not see him sign. He'll probably sign something like some sort of financial aid agreement, but it may not be anything. So I would expect to see everybody sign come Wednesday through Friday. I would be surprised if they don't get everybody signed this week.